Welcome back, everybody. Earlier this week, we kicked off our show talking about TikTok and how one Republican governor issued an executive order blocking TikTok from being downloaded on state devices. She is the author of the book, Not My First Rodeo, Lessons from the Heartland, and the governor of the great state of South Dakota, Kristi Noem. Governor, thank you so much for being here with us again.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's wonderful to be with you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, indeed. I wanted to start off with this topic of TikTok. There is now bipartisan concern over TikTok, but a lot of people have been voicing concerns about it for a while. Was there any final straw for you that prompted you to make this to give this order, or was it just kind of the drip of concerns?
Well, we're learning more and more every day about the real national security threat that the TikTok application is to the United States of America and to our citizens. So I issued this executive order banning the accessing and downloading of this app on state devices, computers. It's banned and blocked off of our networks and our servers. And if any employee does access it or download it on a state-owned device, it's a criminal offense in the state of South Dakota. I take it very seriously, my duty to protect the citizens of this great state. And the more and more we learn about how the Chinese government and the CCP is using the information they're gathering off of TikTok to threaten the United States of America, to learn more about our habits, what we search, and how they are manipulating the algorithms to collect data, possibly even financial information, passwords, health information, personal information, not just what kind of videos people like to look at. We know that their agenda is to use it against us and that they are an enemy. They hate us as the United States of America, and it's our job to take applications like this and treat them exactly how we should, and that is not allowing them to be used detrimentally to hurt people who live in this country.
Yeah, such an important debate. And when we talk to state legislators, other governors, people say South Dakota is leading on a lot of the national issues that affect state rights. China's right there. You have some interesting approaches to keeping China from buying up too much farmland in your state. Talk a little bit about that, and are you moving towards some sort of a lease program?
Well, I think that it's incredibly important that we as governors do our job. You recognize what authority we have and what authority we do not have, and that we take action. We don't just stand up and talk about what needs to be fixed or hold press conferences, that we actually do something about it. I've been very busy and worked for 20 years on food policy in this country. South Dakota is a very agriculture state. We grow the world's food. And I've seen how China has come in and bought up our manufacturing facilities, our processing facilities. They've also, over the years, bought our fertilizer, our chemical companies. Their goal is to control our food supply so they can control the United States of America. Now, in recent years, we've become much more aware of how they're buying up land. South Dakota already has a state law on the books that limits what a foreign entity can purchase for land in the state. But I'm re-examining that and looking to bring legislation that will not only address purchasing of land, but also make sure that those who hate us and other foreign entities can't have long-term leases, that they can't come in and lock up land for an agenda that isn't good for these people that live here in South Dakota, but also our country. I think it's important that we recognize that not only does China manipulate their currency, steal our intellectual property, that they are building up their military, that they're purchasing our food supply chains, that they also will do this by purchasing land around us next to military bases and also food supply, land that is used for that purpose to harm us, and that we take action to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah, Americans should be eating American-grown food. I know you've been very vocal about the potential danger of food from other countries and us consuming it. I wanted to ask you, though, with respect to your farmland in South Dakota, we've got potential diesel shortages and gas price hikes going into winter. How can your state help drive down those costs, and how detrimentally is your state going to be affected if we do see those shortages?
Well, Joe Biden's just been a disaster when it comes to policies that are impacting people who live in this country every single day. So when it comes to growing our food and our energy prices, he has made the wrong decision at every turn. So for us in our state, we grow food. It's also a long ways to drive anywhere, and it's pretty cold in January. So we're heavily dependent on energy prices and supplies, and we have a dangerously low supply of diesel fuel in this country right now. I've been talking to people about what happens when that is a situation that we're dealing with, because farmers that go out and plant crops, harvest crops, need to deliver it to the markets so that it can be processed and put in grocery stores. Farmers have to buy that fuel in order to run their tractors, to dry down their grain, to store it, and to move it. That all gets passed on to the consumers. When you see higher prices at the grocery store, it's because farmers and ranchers don't have another option. And one thing that people should remember as well when it comes to interest rates, farmers go to a bank and they borrow the money that they need to put the crops in the ground. So they literally borrow money to buy a tractor, borrow money to buy land, then borrow money to get an operating note to purchase the seed and fertilizer they need, and then they bury it in the dirt and they hope something grows. It's an incredibly risky profession that they partake in to make sure that we all can eat and that we have a safe and affordable food supply. And these interest rates also impact them dramatically. We need to make sure we keep farmers and ranchers in the United States of America, that they continue to be diversified, that there's a lot of them, so we have competition in the market, and that we continue to rely on ourselves for that and for our energy prices and supply chains going forward as well. South Dakota doesn't have a lot of oil or coal like Wyoming and North Dakota and other states around us. We have Mount Rushmore, which we are very thankful for. We believe that people look to us for a lot of inspiration for freedom and liberty, but we are heavily dependent on energy prices, and we're grateful for our neighbors who supply a lot of it. We wish our president was grateful for them, because he has been punishing oil and gas, which we need to survive, ever since he's been in the White House, and it's hurting this country.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like there. I want to ask a little bit about education innovation. The governors are really leading the way. You got Governor Stitt with portable tax dollars now beginning to be implemented. You've done some really extraordinary things, including putting a focus back on tech and trade schools. Bring us up to speed on some of the innovation going on in your state.
Well, I'm super proud of the fact that we are preparing students for life. We're not just preparing them for a 4-year degree, that we're focusing on what kind of careers do they want to have, and then facilitating that so they can stay right here in South Dakota and pursue their dreams. So we put technical and skills and training in our high schools. There's a lot of kids who graduate in South Dakota from high school the same day they graduate with another degree in a skill or expertise of architecture, engineering, welding, plumbing, electricity, electricians. They can get that kind of training in high school too, and end up with a degree that allows them to immediately get to work and own their own business, or earn a wage of $30 to $40 to $50 an hour. That's pretty remarkable, that we are focusing not just on getting them a great education where they learn their civics and history and what to love about America, but they also have the skills that they need to get right to work and provide for their family and pursue their dreams.
Governor, before we go, I wanted to zoom out and ask you about national party politics. It's looking like RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel might have a challenger under her tenure. GOP has had a little bit of a rough go of it, especially during midterms when it was projected that there would be a red tsunami, and that obviously did not transpire. Is it time for new party leadership?
Well, I think we got to ask ourselves why we're not winning. We had a rough election cycle, the previous one to this, where we lost the Senate, the House, and the White House, and now we underperformed in this election cycle. We need to look at what we're doing and why we're not winning. And frankly, I'm sick of having those types of situations. I would say that in my race here in South Dakota, we were one of the few areas where Republicans and conservatives overperformed. And it's because I didn't just talk about what a train wreck Joe Biden is. I also cast a vision for our state and talked about what we're doing well and how it's helping people be successful. Republicans need to do that at the national level, and we have to look at our party leadership and hold them accountable to winning and to making sure they're providing us the guidance that we need. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Georgia. I think that's a key indicator on if we're going the right direction and how much our party is really putting out on the line to make sure that we can win these types of races that are so important.
Yeah. I just have to say, to circle back to the farmer conversation, I saw a bumper sticker that said, without farmers, you'd be hungry, naked, and sober. And I loved it because so much of that credit goes to farmers, like in your state of South Dakota. Yeah, feel free. I saw it up in Central Valley, California, where there's a lot of agriculture. But Governor Kristi Noem, thank you so much for being here with us. Congratulations on your resounding victory, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, John and I, we will. Merry Christmas. John and I have to take a quick commercial break, but we will be right back after this.